It's time for America Outdoors Radio, the show that covers the outdoor scene across the U.S. of A. and the entire continent. Fishing, hunting, conservation, outdoor recreation, and great destinations. We cover it all every week. It's your country, your outdoors. Let's explore it together with your host, John Cruz.
Welcome to the show. Last week, we talked about the possible downsides for outdoors enthusiasts regarding public lands access if Donald Trump is elected president, and what would appear to be a definite downside for gun owners and proponents of the Second Amendment if Hillary Clinton is elected. This week, we've got another question, and that is whether this year's presidential election is becoming a referendum on the sport of hunting itself. This all came to light in a recent article in the left-leaning Washington Post. There was an article that stemmed from Hillary Clinton's comments at a campaign rally where she was being interrupted by animal rights activists. Clinton told the protesters, apparently, these people are here to protest Trump because Trump and his kids have killed a lot of animals, so thank you for making that point. Carrie Lauerman, writing what I would describe as less of an article than a personal anti-hunting rant, supported by suspect statistics and celebrity social media posts for the Washington Post, goes on to explain that Trump's sons, Eric and Donald Jr., along with Donald Jr.'s son, took some time off the campaign trail and headed to Canada. It's not clear whether their destination was the Yukon or the Northwest Territories, but being the avid big game hunters they are, that is apparently why they went there. A couple of things of note. This is the first time that I'm aware that Hillary Clinton has fired a shot across the bow of those of us who love hunting. Second, Clinton's comment and Carrie Lauerman's article makes it clear they have absolutely no concept of scientific game management and the role hunting plays in conservation efforts for all sorts of wildlife and the habitat the animals live in. If you own firearms, you are rightfully concerned about Mrs. Clinton becoming president. And now, if you're a hunter, whether you hunt with a firearm or a bow, you may want to watch your back as well, because it would appear from her latest statements, Hillary Clinton does not have your back. Okay, enough with politics. Let's get on with the show. Grouse hunting season kicks off September 1st in much of the nation, and that's why we are talking to Steve Belinda with the North America Grouse Partnership this week for the first of a three-part series about grouse hunting. After Steve gives you some tips on bagging forest grouse, we'll be heading to the mouth of the Columbia River bordering Washington and Oregon. That's where the Northwest Sport Fishing Industry Association's 17th annual Buoy 10 Salmon Challenge will be taking place on August 19th, and Dan Cherry with NSIA will tell you not only about the Derby, but also fill you in on how the fishing has been down there and why you should release one subspecies of salmon you'll be catching there called Thule's. Following our chat with Dan, we'll check in with Carl Findlay. He hails from Bend, Oregon. He owns a company called Oregon Pack Works, and he's got some great advice on how to pack your backpack or day pack so you are not killing your back. It turns out there's a science to this. And if you're like me, I suspect you're going to learn something here that's going to save you a little back pain down the trail. Packing isn't just for hunters and hikers, it's for anglers too. How you pack your leader and gear determines how efficient you are at keeping your line in the water for the maximum amount of time. You can't catch fish if you're tying your rigs on shore. That's the premise behind the Bait Buoy Tackle Organizer, and Rick Gause with Hook 'em Good will tell you more about this product that's useful for both boat and walk and wade anglers. We've got outdoors news covering a justifiable following a home invasion and the fallout the homeowner got after she killed that bear. We've also got news about a record Wyoming elk taken with a very non-traditional weapon and some new inductees onto our Trail of Shame who appear to be addicted to clam chowder. Along with that, we've got some great advice from Ken Estes with Cascade Marine in Portland about taking care of your boat motor on a routine basis. If you do, you won't be that guy floating dead in the water at the foot of the boat launch with a motor that won't start. Take it all together and we've got quite the show for you, so let's start it off now by lacing up our boots and heading into the woods to see if we can find some grouse. Next on America Outdoors Radio, grouse season is right around the corner. That's right. It kicks off September 1st just about everywhere that people are listening right now. And so we thought it would be a good idea to bring Steve Belinda on board. He's the executive director of the North American Grouse Partnership. And Steve, what I'd like you to do for our listeners today is give us some tips. How can we be successful for grouse in September?
Well, thank you, John. It's a pleasure to be here, and I really enjoy listening to your show. First thing, you're probably going to be hunting the three species of forest grouse. That is your blue grouse, or referred to now as your dusky grouse or your sooty grouse, your rough grouse, and of course your spruce grouse. And the blue grouse were split into dusky and sooty species a couple years ago, and there are genetic differences. But to us hunters and the people that love grouse, you're not going to know that other than where they are. It's mostly a genetic difference. So with that, the dusky and sooty grouse are often found in your open forested environment. So in the Pacific Northwest, what you need to be looking for is that open, mature forest stand, a ponderosa pine, lodgepole pine, Doug fir, or others, where we have a good grass understory.
Okay.
And the reason that they need that grass is they're looking for insects at that time of year. Also, what happens in that type of environment is you get a lot of berries, grouse whortleberry, other berries that these birds will be keying into to build fat reserves to get them through the upcoming winter. So, find that open space where, there's some shade, there's some open areas of sun, and you're going to find dusky and sooty grouse.
What about rough grouse?
Rough grouse are going to be found a little bit down the mountain, usually on an area that's had some disturbance, a clear cut, a fire or some rejuvenation areas, and they love aspen. So where you have aspen stands, you're going to find that rough grouse, and then along, streams and seeps in other areas where there's some wet undergrowth that those birds can get underneath and forage and stay out of the hot sun.
So here's a question for you, Steve. When it comes to grouse hunting, this is probably the one species of bird where it's actually okay, unlike other bird hunting, to shoot them out of a tree. Because if you wait for them to fly, especially where rough grouse like to hang out, you're never going to get a shot.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, some of my favorite hunting with grouse is with my bow or with my .22 pistol. It provides an opportunity to go for the headshot, not ruin any meat, but also provides another challenge to hunters who are often looking for something beyond your standard shotgunning techniques.
And I guess you're absolutely right about that. I'd say that when it comes to grouse hunting, especially ruffed grouse, I think I see just as many hunters with small caliber rifles as I do with shotguns in the field.
Yeah, and to be honest, it's up to your state fish and game agency to determine whether that's regulated, but I'm not aware of any state that does prohibit using small caliber rifles for any of our forest grouse.
So any other tips you might have for those of us who are going to go out looking for grouse? You've told us where to find them. We now know what kind of weapons to use to get them. But what about time of day? When are they most active?
So these birds are going to come off the roost and go to either water or to feed immediately. So if you know an area where there's a lot of sign or a lot of berries, that's a really good place to start. Middle of the day, these birds are going to shade up a little bit as it gets hotter. And then, of course, in the afternoon, they're going to seek out that warmth. A lot of southern exposures for blue grouse and rough grouse. And that's where you're going to find them. Old logging roads or even open logging roads are great because these birds will be coming to water at culverts, at puddles, and also coming to get grit. I personally hunt them by walking Forest Service or public or other public roads really slow and looking for these birds to hang out on the side of the road, which gives me, an opportunity to see them before they see me and get that nice shot that I'm looking for.
Well, there you go, folks. There's some great tips for grouse hunting success come September. If you want to find out more about the North American Grouse Partnership, it is the organization that is dedicated to the conservation and advocating for grouse throughout North America. Go to their website, grousepartners.org. The website again, grousepartners.org. Steve, thanks for the great advice on America Outdoors Radio.
All right, John, thank you, and grouse on.
Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, a nationwide group working to keep public lands in public hands so future generations can enjoy what we enjoy. Join the group that makes a difference. Check us out at backcountryhunters.org.
Timberline range camps are known for their rugged, durable, well-insulated range camp trailers. Don't think of these as an RV. They're an RV on steroids that will last you a lifetime. They are comfortable, too, fitted with all the amenities you would expect, and they even include a wood stove. Timberline range camps can be used as a hunting camp or a towable home to take you to your remote getaway. One thing is for sure, all your friends will be envious of your towable range camp trailer. Find out more at sheepcamps.com. That's sheepcamps.com for Timberline range camps.
The Veterans Forward Operating Base, or VFOB, is a group of outdoor companies who have joined forces to support our nation's veterans and first responders. Only 1,000 lifetime memberships are being offered to allow you to be part of this mission, with amazing benefits including a numbered challenge coin, sticker, lapel pin, grunt-style t-shirt, $5 off a tactical squirrel monthly subscription box, and entry into a raffle of VFOB products valued at over $3,000. Support those who have served and sacrificed for our freedoms. Join VFOB today. Learn more at veteransfob.com.
Everyone knows Kodiak Island is one of the best places in Alaska to go fishing. You can pay a lot of money to go with a guide or stay at a lodge, or you can do it yourself. There are over 100 miles of roadway on Kodiak Island leading to streams and lakes full of trout, salmon, and char. How to get there? With Budget of Kodiak. Located at the airport, we offer daily and weekly car rentals, as well as discounts for military and AARP members. Contact Budget of Kodiak and explore.
DM Bullard Leather has been in business for over 20 years. We use Herman oak leather to make concealed and open carry gun holsters, as well as knife sheaths, belts, cowboy gear, and wallets. All of our products are handmade, and we even offer exotic skins if you're looking for something really special. Check out our products in 16 different gun shops or go to our website at dmbullard.com. That's dmbullard.com for the best leather you will ever have.
You're back with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. This portion of the show is brought to you by Northwest Sportsman Magazine. It's the monthly publication that covers the hunting and fishing scene throughout the Pacific Northwest, to include some of the great salmon derbies and tournaments going on. Pick up a copy near you. Speaking of salmon derbies, there's a big one coming up Friday, August 19th. It's the 17th annual Buoy 10 Salmon Challenge. With us here to tell you more about it is Dan Cherry, the Director of Communications for the Northwest Sport Fishing Industry Association. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, John.
So, Dan, why don't you give our listeners an overview of this tournament in terms of the when, the where, and the rules?
So we're, of course, down at Buoy 10, and the tournament is going to take place August 19th. We're going to be at the Clatsop County Fairgrounds there in Astoria. And the Clatsop County Fairgrounds is our first year being there, but it's a big facility, got a lot of room outside for boat parking, so people will be able to get in and out. Should be no problem there. And we'll be right there in the middle of mid-August, and as we know, the past few years, the fall run of Chinook has been phenomenal. Last year set a record, the year before that set a record, and this year is supposed to be right on par with that, and we think right there, being in the middle of the month, we should be right there near the peak bit of the run, so there should be plenty of fish around to catch.
So let's go ahead and run through how you win some of the prizes here. Obviously, there's a big fish prize for $1,000, but there's other prizes as well. Are there prizes for teams on boats, or how does this all work out?
Yeah, so we've got a lot of prizes out there. Like you said, North River Boats has given us $1,000 to give away to the person who catches the biggest Chinook. And after that, we've got a lot of team prizes lined up. First place, G. Loomis and Shimano have donated us some really nice rod and reel combos for the team that catches the highest average amount of weight of fish. Second place, we have some Lamiglass rods and really nice Daiwa reels to give away. In third place, we have some Tika combos that we're going to throw in there.
Now, I understand there's also a door prize raffle, too, that involves a $500 check.
That's right, yeah. We work with some of our partners, and Ray Marine has generously donated $500 that, you show up. When you show up there at weigh-in, you stay for the whole thing. We're going to give you a raffle ticket, and at the end, we're going to draw, and you might just walk away with $500 in your pocket just for showing up.
Nice. Two other questions. Number one, what is the entry fee?
It's $110, and that covers your shirt, entry, food, your raffle ticket to get in there. And with that, just being there, we have a lot of door prizes and all this other stuff that we're going to be giving away. So, I mean, you really do kind of get your money's worth out of that 110.
And speaking of the food, there's the weigh-in, that's what, between 2 and 5 p.m. on the 19th, and dinner's right after that?
That's exactly right. We have a caterer coming in. We're going to have a full spread, and nobody should leave hungry.
Well, it sounds like you can't lose, quite frankly. I mean, at the very least, you're going to walk away with a good dinner and a day of fishing, and there's a really good chance you're going to walk away with some sort of prize, and maybe it'll be $1,000. Let's talk about how the Buoy 10 fishery has been so far. I know the opener started off really rough, but I understand it's been getting better and better since then.
That's right. That's what we've been hearing, too. It opened up, and, they haven't been the best tides right away, but we expect those tides to kind of improve, and as we get on into August, we should start seeing more and more and more fish start pushing through. Really, it should start improving every day, and from here until they close it in sometime probably in September.
For those who are going to compete in the Buoy 10 Salmon Challenge, how big of a salmon does it take to win that big fish prize? What has it historically been over the last couple years?
Last year somebody took home first place with, I want to say it was right around a 23-pounder. I think the year before that somebody won it with a fish that wasn't even 20.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it kind of goes. Last year it seemed like the average fish was coming in right around 18 pounds. But if you get up there in that, plus 20, you're looking at having one of the bigger fish. And I forgot to mention that not only do we do team prizes, we have individual prizes for the 5 biggest fish. We're going to have rod and reel combos. North River Boats has donated $1,000 that we're going to give to the person who brings in the biggest Chinook. And then from there on down, 1st through 5th, they're going to be in line to probably take home some gear.
Sounds fantastic. We're talking to Dan Cherry. He's the Director of Communications for the Northwest Sport Fishing Industry Association, and we're talking about the 17th Annual Buoy 10 Salmon Challenge. It's taking place Friday, August 19th, and the weigh-ins at the Clatsop County Fairgrounds at Astoria between 2 and 5 p.m. Entry fees only $110, and pretty much everybody's going to walk away at least with a full belly and a good chance at some door prizes and a day of fishing. So everyone's a winner. Now, let's talk about something that's really important here in terms of the rules and in terms of what you're looking for here. There's 2 types of salmon you can catch at the mouth of the Columbia River. One's referred to as the upriver brights, and that's kind of self-explanatory in terms of how they look. But the other one, the Thule's. What are the Thule's, and why do you want those released?
So Thule's are lower Columbia River Chinook, and we really want the wild ones released because they are the limiting stock on the Buoy 10 fishery. So while the upriver brights and the Thule's enter the river side by side, the upriver brights are returning at record levels. I mean, they're returning at such healthy levels that we're able to harvest wild fish and all of that. But then the Thule's are the ones that limit the fishery. They're when we catch a certain amount of Thule's, when that impact is reached, they cut off Buoy 10, and then that means the businesses down there in the lower river, all the fishing guides, everybody's got to kind of go home, pack it up, or try to catch some coho, maybe not this year. So we want those wild Thule's released because they are threatened under the Endangered Species Act. And by releasing those, we hope that over time we can see that population start to bounce back a little bit. And then hopefully the end result here is that we keep the Buoy 10 fishery open longer, and so people can have more of a shot at catching more upriver brights, and there'll be more Thule's around. It kind of would work out for everyone. We just have to help those Thule's kind of get a leg up.
It all makes perfect sense to me. And here's another factor, too. Now, I know when it comes to the Salmon Challenge, people aren't looking at table fare. They're looking at weight and trying to win this derby. But a lot of the guides I talk to, they turn those Thule's back anyway because they basically say, as far as table fare goes, they're not that good at tasting fish.
Yeah, they don't cut quite as good. And you can kind of tell a Thule, if you've never seen one, they'll be a little bit darker, maybe a little rust-colored. Their teeth might be protruding a little bit because they have a shorter migration, right? They're putting on their spawning colors and getting ready to spawn, and the upriver brights have a lot further to go, so they're not quite there yet. But that also means, if you catch a fish, near its spawning beds, the flesh might not be quite as firm. It might not be great table fare, and so we recommend turning those wild ones back. But on the same hand, we also encourage people to keep the hatchery ones.
Sure.
The hatchery Thule's get in there, and they get on the spawning beds with the wild ones, and we know that that's something that we want to avoid. So we do encourage people to catch, to retain the hatchery tules and release the wild.
We are running short on time, and so we're not going to have any time to really get into what the Northwest Sport Fishing Industry Association does, except to say that it is an advocacy group for the sport fishing industry. And if you're a sport angler like I am, you probably want to find out more about this organization. So let's give folks a website both for the Derby and for NSIA.
That's correct. You can find out more about us, and you can register for the tournament on our website at nsiafishing.org. nsiafishing.org, or you can call us anytime, 503-631-8859.
There you go, folks, nsiafishing.org. You'll find out everything you need to know about the Derby and also about this great organization. Dan, thanks for sharing this with us on America Outdoors Radio.
Thank you, John.
Limit Out Performance Marine is your West Coast Phoenix, Larson, and Alumacraft boat dealer. We also offer full service for your Mercury and Yamaha outboard and have complete parts and tackle store for your every boating need. We'll not only provide you with full service for your boat, motor, and trailer, but we'll also educate you on how to better operate and maintain your boat so you can have a better experience in the water. Visit us at 421 5th Avenue Northwest in Pacific or go online to limitoutmarine.com.
Offshore Northwest is Washington's most exciting albacore tuna fishing charter, offering one-day run-and-gun live bait tuna fishing trips from Westport, Washington. You'll leave at first light, run an hour and a half out to the tuna grounds, and catch these fish till your arms fall off. You'll be back at port by 5 p.m. on a 30-foot Parker boat. The tuna are here now, and this is shaping up to be a record summer, so call Captain Carey now at 253-380-9973. That's 253-380-9973 for Offshore Northwest. You're back with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. This portion of the show is brought to you by the American Shooting Journal. It is the publication that covers not only the shooting sports, but in-depth reviews of firearms and more. Pick up a copy at a newsstand near you. We're talking to Carl Findling. He is the owner of Oregon Pack Works, based out of Bend, Oregon. And we thought this would be a great time to talk about the proper way to pack that backpack of yours. Carl, welcome to the show.
Oh, good morning, John.
Carl, I understand you are getting ready to head to the Wallowa Mountains. You're going to be doing some scouting for deer and elk. Tell me more.
That's right. Yeah, I tend to scout a number of times a year. I think that's one of the better ways to your success is getting out and knowing the terrain and knowing, where you're going to be on that opening day.
So when it comes to these scouting trips, and for that matter, when it comes to folks that are either A, backpacking, this time of year, getting in those summer backpack trips, or B, they're going to be backpacking in some country for hunting, we need to talk about packing right, because I know for a fact I've been that guy who has packed wrong, and I've been awfully sore at the end of the day or at the end of a trip. I mean, there's a real science to packing that backpack right, isn't there?
Yeah, there is, John. I think the biggest thing that folks do is they don't have the pack that's built for what they're trying to carry. And the first thing I'll say is there's a thing called load lifter. It doesn't really load lift your pack, but if you don't have a strap that comes off your shoulder strap that goes and rises above the point of the shoulder, you don't have a way to assist kind of lifting that load off your shoulders. And over time, with heavy weights, that becomes real fatiguing and a real pain. I learned that with the old military pack boards, and then I kind of went through this when I developed my business. And what was it that I was lacking in some of those day packs that were out there? And it's typically a load lifting function on a pack. So again, that pack fit is critical to have the right pack for the job. But then number two is that heavier loads closer to your spine is really important. A number of pack models out there in the marketplace have weights that outboard, and you continue to outboard that weight, you're going to lean over, and you're going to be to the point where you are very uncomfortable in your hips, your hamstrings, and then in your back over a shorter period of time than you would in a properly fitting or properly packed pack. So I use that heavy load up against my spine, and then I load softer, lighter goods outboard, and then I always go upward with my weight and go toward my head or towards the sky as you start to load some more weight on it.
Interesting, because this is actually very different from what I learned many, many, many years ago as a Boy Scout. And again, keeping it closer to the spine, that's new too, but it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and as a fireman, my career of wearing a air pack on my back, somewhere in mid-spine and up towards the what we call the beginning of your thoracic vertebrae, up there around the neck, that's kind of your perfect sweet spot. And everyone carries a weight a little differently, and that's okay. Personal preference when it comes to pack or how you load. But I found that weights in around the lumbar part of my spine, above my bottom, just didn't feel right to me. And as I lifted that weight up higher on my back, this became more comfortable, and I was more balanced ergonomically when I was running over lodgepole or on a cliff face or whatever it be. That pack was in the middle of my back, and it helped my center of gravity greatly.
This is really interesting stuff. Now, we're already running short on time, but I want to talk about the fact that you took what you have learned here and you have translated this into building your packs at Oregon Pack Works. So you've got something called the Green Gate Pack System. What is that?
Well, the Green Gate Pack System, John, started with my result of needing something I couldn't find in the marketplace, and that was I was hunting with a day pack, and then I needed to haul an animal up to the top of a mountain, and that's where my pack was in my bivvy camp that could haul that. So I had the epiphany, why can't I make a pack with a suspension that could go into all of my packs, whether small or large? And so that was about a 9-year effort to design what we call the Green Gate Pack System. That's one suspension that goes into a number of pack bodies. And so by that, we kind of created a third dimension to a backpack. And of course, everything we make is modular. So that third dimension to a backpack is that it's not a single function top loading pack where everything goes in from the top down and what you need is usually in the bottom. So we just created a pack that has a number of variations that folks can choose what they want to put on their back, from a lumbar to an expedition-size backpack.
Very interesting. We are out of time, Carl, but if you want to find out more about Oregon Pack Works and their modular system, their Green Gate Pack System, go to OregonPackWorks.com. And Carl, thanks for the great tips on better backpacking.
Thanks, John. Good talking to you.
Okay, so now you know how to pack that pack properly, but do you know how to pack your fishing gear properly, whether you're in the boat or maybe doing a walk and wade? Well, there's one guy who does. His name is Rick Gause. He's the owner of Hook 'em Good, based out of Yakima, Washington, and he's got a couple of pretty clever inventions that I think you're going to appreciate. Rick, welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going?
Going well, Rick. So you've got something called the Hook 'em Good Bait Buoy Tackle Organizer, and this comes from your company, Hook 'em Good. What exactly is this?
The bait buoy unit is actually a tackle organizer, just so you can have all the necessities right at reach. Very convenient on your boat. You're not digging through the bottom of a tackle box in rough water. Everything's just very neatly organized. The most common things used is what we tried to put into the bait buoy. You know, your scent, pliers, cutters, a rag to wipe your hands off after you get done applying scents, and then, of course, your leaders. You know, if you're busting off or you just want a fresh leader after you've caught a fish, you want to put a fresh leader on there so it's not marred or damaged. You know, you can hang a fish club on there, too, to knock them when you get them in. So,
all right. So here's the next question. You know, this sounds attractive for anybody, from a guide who's got a big sled to maybe a guide who's working out of a drift boat, or just a casual angler working out of a 14 or 16-foot boat. Does this bait organizer, does it fit on all of them?
Pretty much, yes. What we got is several really convenient ways to mount it. One of the biggest things guys hate to do is drill in their boat.
Right.
So in the bait buoy and the mounting system, one of the first things we came up with was a rail mount.
Nice.
And so you could mount it on a 7/8 up to an inch 16th rail. Also, you can. So we have a pole holder adapter. So we can use those on our Fish On, Scotty, Fullby, Cabela, Atwood. I mean, it goes on several different rod holders. We can adapt those too. So if you have the mounts for those particular pole holders in your boat, you can pop that in anywhere, never have to drill. And then if you do end up having to drill, we did make it very minimal intrusion by just putting 2 bolt holes to hold the whole attachment on. And it could be going to a side wall or straight up and down.
Okay, well, sounds good to me. Let's talk about the leader roll, because it's a little different from what I've seen before. I've seen plenty of folks who basically take that foam tubing that you'll wrap around pipes at home and use that to wrap leaders around. But this is a step above that.
You know, we really weren't happy with anything on the market, there just really was no good way to handle a loose tag end or, whether it has a swivel on it or not. And we come across this material, and to be honest with you, we probably really lucked out when we found it. It solved many problems. First of all, the material, by the time you wrap it around, it has an 1/8-inch slit around the roll, which a lot of people don't see. And what that does is you just draw your tag into your leader in there, and it holds it. By the time you wrap it around one time, you can't pull it out. That's not how we want to wrap our rolls, though. We want to wrap them loosely. So we feather that line in, so we're not creating a bunch of excess memory in our line. And then the soft, durable material, barbs go in and out of that without tearing up.
So here's an obvious question that I think I know the answer to, but just throwing it out there for, those that are listening thinking, well, I'll just take my leader out of the package. Why do I need this?
It's about being efficient. If you have everything pre-tied on a roll, and whether it be on your boat or strapped on your waders or vest, this has a convenient carabiner hanger and dispenser on it, you bust off. You don't have to run back, tear one out of the package. You can actually tie up. And if you're fishing real efficient, you'll have a snap swivel on the end of that leader already pre-tied, and you can just pop another one on, and you're fishing again. So it's about spending more time in the water than out of the water.
And one more thing I want to touch on. Those leader rolls, they do come in those carabiners, and they'll go right on your fishing vest or right on your belt. They don't take up a lot of room, but you can carry like half a dozen pre-tied leaders on those, can't you?
Yeah, they'll actually hold 14 liters on each one. The small blue ones hold 6, and the new red style we've come out with are up to 15.
Nice. So for all of you steelhead and salmon anglers out there, that is just the thing, even if you're a walk and wade angler. We are out of time, but let's give folks a website before we go.
It's hook'emgood.com.
Hook'emgood is spelled hookumgood.com, and you can find these products, the Bait Buoy Tackle Organizer, at stores all over the Northwest, to include Cabela's and Sportsman's Warehouse stores. Rick, thanks for telling us all about this on America Outdoors Radio.
Okay, thank you.
Do you long to hunt Africa's most dangerous big game? Big Game Hunting Adventures offers that. Hunting free-range Cape buffalo in some of the wildest untamed country left on the continent. You'll be the only hunting party tracking free-range buffalo on 160,000 acres of land where the borders of Mozambique, South Africa, and Zimbabwe meet. They include pickup at Johannesburg International Airport, and they're among the most affordable you'll find in all of Africa. Book your safari today at BigGameHuntingAdventures.com.
Service is always cheaper than repair. That's a truism from Ken Estes at Cascade Marine Center in Portland, Oregon. Go ahead and drop by and see Cascade Marine for all of the parts, accessories, and honest advice you need to keep your boat and motor running. No one wants to be the guy plugging the boat ramp up because his boat doesn't start. So head down to Cascade Marine Center in Portland, or give them a call, or check out their website at CascadeMarineCenter.com.
Lance Campers makes the ideal base camp for all of your outdoor adventures. We've been in business for over 50 years, and we specialize in making quality, lightweight campers for your pickups as well as trailers you can tow. If you own a half-ton truck, you'll want to check out our new 650 truck camper, made especially for half-ton short bed pickups. Find out more at an RV dealer near you, and be sure to check out the entire product line at lancecamper.com. Lance Campers, quality campers for you.
It's a trek to get here, but that's what you love about it. The Hawkeye Land and Sea Fishing Club is located on the remote central coast of British Columbia, within the Hawkeye Conservancy Marine Park. If you're expecting a fancy towel service kind of fishing resort, well, you're out of luck. But if you're looking for seriously world-class fishing and spectacular scenery, you're in for an experience unlike any other. For more information about joining the club or visiting as a guest, go to HawkeyeLandandSea.com.
Limit Out Performance Marine is your West Coast Phoenix, Larson, and Alumacraft boat dealer. We also offer full service for your Mercury and Yamaha outboard, and have complete parts and tackle store for your every boating need. We'll not only provide you with full service for your boat, motor, and trailer, but we'll also educate you on how to better operate and maintain your boat so you can have a better experience on the water. Visit us at 421 5th Avenue Northwest in Pacific, or go online to limitoutmarine.com.
U.S. Marine Sales is the South Sound's largest marine retail store with an 8,000 square foot showroom. We've been locally owned and operated since 1978 and have a full service department with factory trained staff. We offer sales and service for Yamaha and Mercury outboards and sell Weldcraft, Lund, G3, and other boats for anglers. Want to have some fun on the water? We sell Yamaha wave runners too. Check out our website at usmarinesales.com and then visit us on Pacific Avenue in Olympia. The website again, usmarinesales.com. Welcome back to America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. It's time for some outdoors news, and this portion of the show is brought to you by California Sportsman Magazine. It's the publication that covers the fishing and hunting scene throughout the great state of California. Look for it at a newsstand near you. From the International Business Times... Yes, I know, it is amazing where we find outdoor stories sometimes. But again, from the International Business Times, we learn a California woman who killed a bear that was inside her home is not receiving praise, but instead she's receiving death threats on social media and shaming from members of the community she lives in. Julia Strauha doesn't regret her decision to protect her family. The bear was found hanging out in her garage about 75 miles east of Los Angeles last month. The following night, the bear came into her house through a bathroom window. Strauha contacted California Fish and Game, who gave her a permit to kill the animal, and when it came back a third time, charging her house, that is exactly what she did. By the way, for those of you thinking, why didn't she do something else first? Well, she did. Strauha had tried a water hose, yelling loudly, and even used pepper spray. But with 3 children inside, ages 5, 6, and 9, she saw no other option than to kill the bear. State officials agreed that she had done nothing wrong, and for what it's worth, I also agree. Julie, if you're listening out there, you did the right thing. And for those of you who think otherwise, well, I'd like to watch what you would do if the same thing happened to you. Then we'll talk and see how your options worked out for you. Assuming, of course, your options worked and you're in a position to talk to us and you haven't been mauled. Meanwhile, from the Outdoors News Daily, a Wyoming hunter has been recognized for the trophy elk he took with a very non-traditional weapon. Albert Henderson of Burlington, Wyoming, was recently honored by the Boone and Crockett Club for a trophy-typical American elk taken with a crossbow in Fremont County during the 2014 season. The elk scored an impressive 408 points and received a first-place award at the Boone and Crockett Club's 29th annual Big Game Awards banquet. Interviewed about the trophy, Henderson said, "I've hunted in Wyoming my whole life. There are good elk all over the state in each area, but I've never taken an elk this big before. What makes this elk even more special is the fact that Henderson took it not on a private ranch or with a guide, but in a general hunting area." Henderson continues by saying, "This should be encouraging to all Wyoming hunters. You can still get a good bull on a self-guided hunt in any area with hard work and dedication." Henderson's elk will be listed with over 4,000 other trophies in the Boone and Crockett Club's 29th annual Big Game Awards book, available this fall. And now it's time to find out who's walking this week's Trail of Shame.
It's time for the Trail of Shame.
Shame, shame on you. Shame, shame on you.
Stories of poachers, scoundrels, and other ne'er-do-wells, so if you see someone committing a criminal act on the water or in the field, turn them in. It's the right thing to do.
Our inductees to our Trail of Shame this week apparently can't get enough clam chowder. The Oregon State Police reports seeing a person digging for razor clams on Clatsop Beach in northern Oregon recently. The person in question put several razor clams inside of his clam gun instead of his bucket or sack like most clammers do, and then head back to his car. The troopers contacted this person, along with 3 of his friends, and soon discovered the group was in possession of 143 razor clams, which is, give or take, 98 razor clams over the limit. All 4 suspects were cited, and the 98 over-the-limit clams seized and turned over to a local food bank. These 4 clam hogs will be facing further consequences soon enough, but for now, let me welcome you off the beach and onto this week's Trail of Shame.
Shame on you.
Next on America Outdoors Radio, for all of you boat owners out there, whether you're a tuna angler who's hearing about the great fishing and you want to head out to the Salt yourself to try it out, or maybe you're going to head to the Lower Columbia or Bowie 10 for some of that great salmon fishing, or maybe you're a waterfowl hunter and you know that waterfowl season's coming up and you want to get ready to go. Well, you better check that motor on your boat first. With us here to tell us some things you do need to check is Ken Estes with Cascade Marine Center in Portland, Oregon. Ken, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Ken, nothing more embarrassing than being that guy who launches his boat and then just sits there by the ramp, unable to get it started, and everyone's just looking at him, including his fishing buddies, saying, boy, you are an idiot. You don't want to be that guy, do you?
No, you don't want to be that guy because everybody else that wants to use that ramp also and get him out of the way is now really mad at him also.
Absolutely. So let's talk about 3 things folks need to do before they hit the water to make sure their motor is going to be running. What's the first thing that they ought to be doing before they hit the water?
Well, the first thing, even before they even leave the driveway, what I like to do before we take a boat from the store here to the river, go bump the key and see if the battery even has power.
Smart.
It's amazing how many times you get down to the river and you find out, click, 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 you've got nothing.
Yep. That's a very obvious one, but you're right, overlooked, and I have been with a couple of guys who have done that before, and I hate to admit it, did it once myself. All right, so that's number 1. What's number 2?
Well, number 2 is, service is always cheaper than repair.
Right.
If you maintain a motor that has sat for a long time, that's sure a whole lot better than not doing anything after the last time you used it and you just put it away wet. So, oil changes, fluids, stuff like that. Take a fuel sample. The ethanol issues that we're seeing these days, it just goes through phase separation, and there is water sitting on the bottom that gets sucked up and plugs up the carburetors. So that's a huge issue we're seeing here in the marine business.
Let's go ahead and talk about, the frequency of how often you should be, maybe taking your motor in for a tune-up or for servicing at a place like yours at Cascade Marine Center.
Well, the general rule of thumb is every 100 hours it needs the oils changed and the lubricants done. Every 300 hours is generally the water pumped. And also depends on what kind of environment you're using it in. But, preventative maintenance is a whole bunch cheaper than repair.
Absolutely.
The ethanol issues, little tricks of the trade, that people might not know. It's not just enough to run your carburetor out of gas just by, unplugging it and letting it run out.
Hold on, because that's exactly what I do, so go ahead and tell me more.
All right. After you've done running the motor, you're putting it on the trailer, you want to unplug the fuel line. But you also need to take your thumb and push the little button in, if there is one, depending on what motor you have, and let air into the fuel line so the fuel pump can suck all the fuel out and get as much of it burnt out of the motor as you can. After that, then lift up the cowling, and this is common to all the 4-stroke engines. They have a drain screw on the float bowl of the carburetor. So take a screwdriver, crack that drain screw, let the contents of the float bowl run out so you get rid of all the water, the gunk, the goo, anything that might be settling out in the bottom, and drain that out. Then you can close that back up. Next time you go boating, carburetor's clean, the needle's not stuck in the hole in the seat, it runs fine because it didn't dry out and left all the goobers in there. Prime the bulb up like you do any motor, go have fun.
Wow. Okay, that was a great tip there. Anything else folks ought to be doing before they hit the water this year?
General all-around safety check. Make sure the bilge pump's working. Make sure you got a spare bilge plug or two. We get a lot of calls for that. The main thing, though, is just seeing that it runs before you get all the way to the coast. Nothing worse than driving 2-3 hours, to find out, oh man, it doesn't run right or good. I encourage people all the time, before you drive to Shasta or Bowie 10 from Portland here, stop out here at Marine Drive or Chinook Landing, take it for a 5-minute spin around the buoy. Make sure everything's right before you invest all the time, effort, energy, money, and gas running to Bowie 10 or any of the other wonderful fishing spots we have in the Northwest.
That's Ken Estes with Cascade Marine Center with some great advice that's going to get you on the water and keep your motor running on the water. If you want to find out more about servicing your boat or buying a new motor or buying a very high-quality used boat, go ahead and check out the website, CascadeMarineCenter.com. And Cascade Marine Center is located in Portland, Oregon. So all of you listening to KUIK in Hillsboro and Portland, here's the place you need to go. And by the way, the website again, for everyone else, CascadeMarineCenter.com. Ken, thanks for telling us all about this on America Outdoors Radio.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
That pretty well wraps things up for this week. If you missed any part of our show or last week's show, check out our website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. You'll find our most recent show there in the form of a YouTube podcast at the bottom of the front page. And be sure to like our Facebook page, too. Simply look for America Outdoors Radio on Facebook, like our page, and check out the photos and other information we post on a regular basis. Another place to listen to this show and to our sister show, Northwestern Outdoors Radio, is on the internet at RenoViolaOutdoors.com. That's the home of WRVO Radio, an internet station dedicated to outdoors programming. That website again, RenoViolaOutdoors.com. I'd like to thank our sponsors, the publishers of 4 great sporting publications, which are the American Shooting Journal, Northwest Sportsman Magazine, California Sportsman Magazine, and the Alaska Sporting Journal. Be sure to pick up a copy near you or subscribe and get one or more of these magazines delivered to your mailbox every month. The height of summer is here, and I hope you're making the most of it. Remember, it's your country and your outdoors.